Hello, I'm Neil Innes and you're watching Talk and Roll. I don't know why, but you are.
Tonight's guest needs no introduction, but he's gonna get one anyway. He's been a bonzo, he's been a python, he's even been in a rut. And now, he's a 21st century upper class Twitter. The one, the only, Neil Innes.
Oh,
And there he is.
hello. Don't intend to start now. Okay, a people's guide to world domination. Well, what do we mean by people? Who are they and what do they want? Well, there are two kinds of people in the world. Those who divide the world into two kinds of people. And those who don't. And we are all one of them. And this song is called One of Those People. So you can see this isn't just thrown together, you know. I'm just one of those people who wanna feel good all the time. I don't want no bad news messing with my mind. I don't want no smart media clown wising me up and then dumbing me down. I'm just one of those people who puts up with crap every day. Not just any ordinary crap, I'm talking about a constant stream here, continually getting in my way. I got crap in the workplace, crap on TV, crap in the global economy. Yeah, just one of those people who wanna feel good all the time. Yes, I'm one of those people who wanna feel good all the time. Oh Lord, I ask you, is it such a crime? The last thing I need is a feeling of guilt when I'm wading through treacle on balsa and stilts. I'm just one of those people some people call paranoid. Well, who isn't these days, it's hard to tell. When so many people have so many good reasons to feel more than just a little annoyed. But what can you do when you're sure somebody is fooling around with your reality? I'm just one of those people who wanna feel good all the time. One of those people, one of those people, I'm just one of those people,
Neil, how did you get the music bug way back in the old days to stop playing and become a musician?
Well, at the age of 7, I was, well, to be honest, when I was tiny and, you know, in nappies, I used to conduct the radio with a ruler, mainly as an excuse not to go to bed. But I really liked music right from an early age, and when we moved to Germany, my father was in the army, and we had a piano in the house, and I started tinkering on it, and they said, would you like lessons? So they got me some lessons, and I remember to this day, I got to the day when they said my left hand had to do something different to the right hand, and I declared it was impossible. And I had a really lovely, quietly spoken German guy, who was my piano teacher. He said, well, Neil, I think if you observe me carefully, you can see my left hand is doing something different from my right hand. I'm like, damn, you know, I'm wrong, you know. So, but it fired me up, and then, well, over the next 7 years, I started learning more and more, and I was playing Chopin polonaises, you know, all this sort of like bunches of grapes along the staves and everything. But at 14, I kind of rebelled, and I thought, who am I working for? Every time I finish a piece, they give me a harder one, and that's when I bought my first guitar for 30 shillings in old money, and it was dreadful. The strings were so far from the neck, it was probably more of an egg slicer. And when I met someone about 6 months later with a real guitar, a Hofner, you know, I thought, this is easy. But because of that, I play the guitar like, you know, I grip it like that because the strings were so hard. So bug, yeah, germ, music, always been there.
How did the Bonzo Dog Band, get together? I guess at college, perhaps?
Yeah.
University?
Yeah. We were all at different art schools in London, and it's a sort of fluke because how we met was that the word got round that we were, there's a gang of people, like up to 14 people, playing this silly old 20s and 30s English jazz. No, not always. There were things like Dr. Jazz and sort of, you know, there was a kind of, at the Royal College of Art canteen every Tuesday night, and then it was just fun, you know. And I went along, and they needed a pianist, and then after a while it was too far to go, and then Vernon and I found this big pub with a big room, and we asked the guy. It was just him, you know, polishing a glass or a cigarette out. It's all right if we play in your back room, and he said, yeah, you're all right, I'm over here. And we turned up and we played, and after about 20 minutes the place was full of people drinking, you know, trying to...
Oh, you're back of a pub, yeah.
Yeah, a really big room.
What kind of material were you doing?
Well, the sort of things we found on old 78s, you know, the breakable records. We all had wind-up gramophone records at home. And we'd look for silly titles like Alibaba's Camel, Hunting Tigers Out in India, The Stalkers Brought a Son and Daughter to Mr.
What was that one again?
The Stalkers Brought a Son and Daughter to Mr. and Mrs. Mickey Mouse. You know, they didn't care. The expense of the ink, it didn't bother them. You know, the titles were on. And of course, I'm going to bring a watermelon to my girl tonight.
Oh,
which, you know,
it's a catchy number.
Yeah, it goes, I brought my love an apple, she let me hold her hand. I brought my love an orange, we kissed beneath the band. I brought my love a banana, she let me squeeze her tight. I'm going to bring a watermelon to my girl tonight. Oh.
But nothing beats You Need Feet.
Oh no, that's awful. Well, we can't talk about the Bonzos without mentioning Vivian Statchel. Yes, I mean, he was a very, very special man. He was a mischievous man, practical joker, a giggler, a guffawer, a jovialist, a bit of a brute sometimes, but a funny man. And even in the early days, he used to mess around. He loved words, and so he used to mess around with lyrics and surprise us sometimes with, you know, he changed the lyrics to some of the well-known ones. And this is what he did to Last Night on the Back Porch. If skirts get any shorter, said the flapper with a sob, I'll have 2 more cheeks to powder and a lot more hair to bob. Yes, I know. Good honest vulgarity, I think you'll all agree. And we soon became quite notorious, and we ended up with a recording contract. And our very first recording was at no less a place than Abbey Road Studios. And we went in there to record our first single, and again it was something we found on an old 78. It was a silly song called My Brother Makes the Noises for the Talkies. It went something like this. My brother makes the noises for the talkies. There's not a single noise that he can't do. If you've forgotten what a popping cork is, Rod can pop a pretty cork for you. He'll do the steam escaping from Linus leaving duck. He'll fake a razor scraping or else a cuckoo clock. My brother makes the noises for the talkies. There's not a single noise that he can't do. This is what I hear when I'm in bed. A bang, a crash, like thunder overhead. A cat's meow, a dog's bow wow. The only sleep I'll get is when I'm dead. The only time he made a bungle was when a tiger in the jungle, with a mighty roar dropped dead, with bullets in his head, lots of sound effects and noises to be made, and there weren't any CDs of these things in those days, so they all had to be sort of invented. We got hairbrushes and sort of this sort of thing. But anyway, while they were doing all this, I felt the call of nature, and I left the studio. And in those days, the Abbey Road had a main corridor with studios either side, and you went down to some steps, and there were the restrooms. And on my way back, coming up the steps, there, in the front door, silhouetted from the sunlight on the street outside, were 4 guys with very distinctive haircuts, tight trousers, and pointy shoes, dark glasses, and 2 big minders, And I went, oh, it's them. It's the Fabs. They record here too, don't they? Anyway, curiosity got the better of me, and after about 20 minutes, I snuck out of our studio again, went down the corridor, listened outside their studio, and I could hear through the door they were working on one of George's things. And somebody hitting the piano with this F over the E, Marvellous stuff. Anyway, I had to go back to my studio and finish off. My brother makes the noises while we're talking. Yeah, it gives you some idea of the wide range of music available in 1960 whatever.
Did you play the Boston Tea Party in Boston?
We did. In fact, somebody last night...
Legendary club.
Somebody last night came up and said they remembered it,
Wow.
To this toll station, and Larry pipes up and says, "Oh, you should never pull in at a toll station on the near side lane." I'm going, "Why?" And he said, "Well, because you're near the police, and they might see you, and if you look odd, they might, And just at that moment, an officer puts his head, to the window and says something we couldn't understand. So and he's gone. And I swear, the guy in the toll booth, he must have been related to the guy who did the Yogi Bear thing, because he said, "Did you hear what the officer said?" And we're cracking up. He said, "No, we didn't. What did he say?" And he said, "Pull into that parking lot over there." So, all right. And Viv's in the back saying, "No, just drive on. No." And I said, "No, Viv, I think we should do what they're saying." So we pull in there. Anyway, he comes out and he said, "We wants to know who we are." And we said, "Bonzo, don't do that with what?" I said, "Look, here's a contract. And there's the Bonzo Dog Doodah Band, the Grandee Ballroom, Detroit, $2,000. He says, "No. You get $2,000 a night?" And I said, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of us, and we have come a long way." And anyway, he starts on, "You got any pot? You got any shit? All this kind of stuff." He said, No, we're from England, we're pints of beer men."
That's right.
And he says, "Have you got any guns? You got any knives?" "Certainly not, officer." And he says, "What do you use for self-protection?" And at this moment, Viv in the back says, "Good manners." I go, "Oh no," but it scrambles his brain. So I said, "Oh, good manners, eh? All right, you better be on your way."
What? That's just too amazing. I'm surprised you came over because you probably didn't get much airplay, and I guess you were more of an FM radio band.
We visited lots of FM stations. Yeah, we weren't chart band. We didn't need to be. We were a visual band. People knew what to expect, and we went out for the same money that people who had strings of hits. We were.
I think Urban Spaceman might have not charted, maybe lower, but
it did chart. It went to it sold a bucket full of records
in the States.
Here, I don't know how many it sold here, but it sold nearly over 250,000 in England alone.
Because the vinyl back catalog of the Bonzos, there's at least 5 or 6 albums, I think, on Liberty. Back from that.
Yeah, well, it's been going on. In fact, it was rather nice as the British Academy of Songwriters and Composers, a while back had the top 40 songs, and it was one of them.
Oh.
And George has got an Ivor Novello award, and so have I. And it was quite funny because we both use it for the same thing, for keeping the door open.
Door stuff. After the Bonzos, what did you do? Some solo work for a gap of years there?
Yeah, but it wasn't long. I mean, I think I produced a couple of people and a single or two, and then Eric Idle rang me up and said, do you want to help us out with some songs? We want to make some albums.
Was that the Rutland's weekend special, or was that after the Ruttles?
No, that's immediately after Rutland, after Do Not Adjust Your Set. Because in 1969, we went to America, and then the others joined up with John Cleese and Graham Chapman and did Monty Python's Flying Circus. It was Monty Python's Flying Circus who wanted to do records. So I went up to meet John and Graham, and I'd met before, met all the others. And because they were part of that Do Not Adjust Your Set children's thing. And I said to them, well, what sort of songs have you got then? And Eric said, well, Michael's written this thing about agrarian reform in the Middle Ages. And I thought, no, that's catchy, get in there before Motown, and Cleese, who's very, organised. And I said, well, what sort of music do you think for that? I said, I don't know, reggae. So I just had a lot of fun, working with them over the next 10 years, 10, 15 years,
Oh yeah. Sometimes. What did John and Paul think of the Ruttles?
Well, I don't think Paul liked it too much because of the way, Eric, sort of is all, big eyes. Well, we got to go now.
That's some of the.
George loved it because he was part of the movie.
Exactly.
George, absolutely, of all the Fabs, wanted to put the suit in the closet and move on. And he's the one that, he got the footage from Neil Aspinall at Apple, but what turned out to be basically the rough cut of Anthology. All that footage had been sort of being added to even back then in the late 70s. And Eric and I looked at it, and it was great all through the the build up, and then when it started to fall apart and Leggy died, it started to get, it was sad. You couldn't tell that story at that time. It was too close to the Beatles being together again.
It's true, yeah.
And so we knew we had to do something daft at the end. But the Ruttles really, and George again was, he got Mick Jagger to come along, Paul Simon.
Yep.
And he was in it, and it just, it had to be something sillier had to be done than what was happening to the Beatles, because was it Bernstein was offering them $20 million each and a killer whale to get back together again.
On Saturday Night. We have a check for $3,000 for the Beatles.
It was
Yep.
cash. He had.
And if you want to give Ringo less, that's fine with us.
Is that what he said? I thought
Yes.
you don't have to tell Ringo about it.
Yeah, no.
George
If you want
said-
to give Ringo less, that's fine. Come on, play 3 songs. Let me do it. That's $1,000 right there.
And $3,000 is the union rate for 4
That
musicians.
must have been why he
Yeah.
said that, yeah. As far as the cameo, did George have a lot to do with the film other than just his cameo?
He was there all the time.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, yeah.
Was
In
it
fact-
actually part of Handmade Films? His
No.
company? It wasn't.
No, that was NBC's money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, but I remember sitting watching some Rushes one day, and With a Girl Like You came up,
Great song.
and George turned around and grinned and he said, "That one's a bit close."
Because of the.
No.
Oh, I mean musically, right?
Yeah, it's a bit close. I said, well, I know it's close, George, but it's not the same. He says, I know it's not the same, but it's still close, and you can always go to court with your guitar and explain it, like he had to do.
Exactly.
He's so fine.
And that's you
But-
pushing the buggy in Cracker Box Palace. I think.
Yeah, and he was just making faces at me, and if you look at that clip, I'm trying so hard not to laugh. He's grinning at you, going, Anyone here remember the Ruttles? All right, well, here's a few Ruttle songs, and if you know how to speak Ruttlese, you can sing along. This is a kind of medley thing of Ruttle songs, because actually Yvonne and I are going to go to Las Vegas later on in the tour. We're going to be playing Las Vegas. Yep. We'll be playing Las Vegas until the $25 runs out. Now this is it's kind of lounge ruttling. Barry Wong calls it Ruttle-Lot. People were proud in Double Back Alley. Neighbors were loud, but ever so pally. People would shout. Thank you.